Welcome to Y11 Audio. This is Ipsy11.com's college football podcast. Thank you for listening. My name is Alex Alvarado. A little late on this recording, but that's okay. It's okay. It's been a holiday week. You needed to get into your week one groove. Let's just kind of take some time to digest through, all the beer that we drank over the weekend. Kind of remember a little bit about what happened last week in the Friday game in the 42-34 win. And let's just kind of take it easy heading into the Louisiana week. Plus, I'm doing 2 podcasts a week now. If you are a returning listener, thank you for subscribing. If you're new here, hey, thanks for trying something new. And why don't you go ahead and throw down a subscription? Come on, it's free right now. Come on. It's Louisiana week. EMU football is heading down there, but not before I bring up something a little bit more important. The Eastern Professors, the union, AAUP, they're on strike right now. If you care about Eastern Michigan, if you care about Eastern Michigan football, if you care about the students at Eastern Michigan, if you care about Ypsilanti, if you care about education, if you care about Southeast Michigan as a whole, my whole life I was taught and led by graduates of Eastern Michigan who ended up teaching in my school system as a kid. And then I ended up going to Eastern Michigan because they were such an inspiration to me. And I didn't end up being a teacher like I thought I was going to be. Was it for the best? Who knows? But right now they are on strike because they are not getting a fair and, they're just not getting a fair contract. They, with inflation and with all the cuts that they did, I'm not going to say that they had to do. I will not say that. With all the cuts that Eastern did during the pandemic and everything before the pandemic, because this isn't the first time. It's not like Eastern was like, oh, we'll just hire everybody and spend more money on everybody and everybody's going to have a better life. That wasn't Eastern's MO as an administration. That's just not what Eastern's priorities were. So a lot of things just kind of mounting up on top of each other. The union's been pissed for a number of years now. Things have been bubbling up for a long time. They let all the parents that were helping in their students move into the dorms. Hey, we're about to strike. There's a vote coming up, right after Labor Day. Haha. Yeah, irony's not dead. This university is not prioritizing its teachers. It's saying, we'll give you a small raise and rip you of your health care. When a more fair and equitable contract is, or a fair contract is not what they got. So, right now, if you are looking around Eastern Michigan and you're not seeing kids in class and you're actually seeing everybody, march around Welch Hall for, looks like 8 miles a day, wearing the red, you should join them. You should put down the green and you should wear the red for a little bit. I do have some Eastern Michigan apparel, which, funny we're recording this. I can kind of let the cat out the bag here. I got a couple of free home field shirts because I'm I spent a lot of money on home field shirts over the past couple of years. I hit them up years ago and I was like, hey, you should do this idea for a shirt because your selection is small and I think this would be a cool thing. And I just sent them over a thing and they're like, cool, gave me a thumbs up and didn't really think of anything of it. That was pre-pandemic conversations too. And recently they were like, hey, look at these Eastern shirts. I know we haven't talked in a few years, but look at these Eastern shirts that we're going to drop in a couple weeks. And you, our longtime friend, Alex Alvarado, can have 2 of them for free. In your size, at your house. We'll ship it right to you for free. And my heart was like, oh, thank you. So I got some shirts. They're awesome. I'm not going to talk about them, though, because, as much as I want to sport the green and white, and as much as I want to sport home field, and as much as I want to sport, these awesome shirts, oh my God, I want to talk about them so bad because they're badass. They're shirts that I've been waiting, for a long time to see, and I'm really glad to see them. And if you can hear me, if you're listening, and you care about Eastern, and you care about everything that I've talked about so far, and we're only 5-6 minutes into this thing, you're gonna love these shirts, man. And yeah, they're not a sponsor. They won't sponsor me because I have bad numbers. I'm just kidding. You guys are cool, but they're not a sponsor. This is free advertising I'm giving them because I think it's a good company and all that shirt, but I'm not going to talk about the shirts until you know our lovely professors get a fair contract, and they get it now. They want you to wear red. They don't want you to wear green and white. I have to support them at this time. I'm not going to talk about the shirts, and I'm not going to say as soon as you get them, you should wear them. As soon as you get them, you should make sure that the professors are back in their classrooms doing what they want to do because they have received the demands. The demands that are being met in their negotiations, which Eastern, it's fucking bullshit. It was fucking bullshit to read that they put out a statement to say, oh, these teachers, they just want more money in their ivory towers. They just, God, they need more marble tabletops. They need more marble tabletops. And they're not happy with how much money that we've already given them. We've given them a raise. And so they are choosing their personal profits over your education students. And I'm a little bit paraphrasing there, but that's exactly what they said. And to that, I say, go fuck yourself, Eastern Michigan. Like, seriously, go fuck yourself. Okay, back to rooting for Eastern Michigan. They beat, the football team, at least, beat Eastern Kentucky from the FCS ranks 42-34. Yes, it's Louisiana week, but I did rewatch most of the game again. Not all of it, but, I'm getting through it. I'm kind of plugging through some notes, doing some side stuff. But, I just had some final thoughts that I just kind of wanted to get back to you with. I don't remember how much I covered into the recap, and this is kind of how I want to, do things. I want to do an immediate reaction after the games for a podcast, and then once we reconvene, we'll do this. We'll recap the previous week. I'll release some power rankings in the MAC. I'm not going to do a preseason power rankings. Well, I can't now. But preseason stuff, man, I hate preseason rankings. Like, I get it. It's important. Even in the AP poll, I think there's, like, a historical importance there, and, like, it's not all that bad. But, like, in the moment, I don't find, like, a true value in it. It's much better if you do it once you start with week 1, because then you just, like, have a clear and concise way of doing things. Anyways, I'm going to do MAC power rankings. Lord save me. And then we'll actually talk about Louisiana. Louisiana has some good players. I've already previewed it in Y11.com, so if you haven't signed up for free updates there, that'd be the way to go. Little teaser, I haven't made things official. I haven't completely set it up. At some point, I will turn on a paywall for Y11.com. That paywall will not look exactly what you're thinking of when I say that out loud. A lot of people think that paywall is just like a lot of things are very, very exclusive on there. And you cannot read a good percentage of the work if you're not paying to that media outlet, which is true, which it makes sense. I get it. And I'm not really like totally against that either. However, I think my paywall will mostly be archive based. And I want people to still sign up for free updates and get everything that I write. If not 100%, then like closer to 95% of what I write will be free and available for everybody in the streets to read, because I think there's just a true value in that. And also, I don't think anything that I'm writing needs, like, it does. I don't think anything I write deserves to be like hidden like that. I'd rather be things archive based where, look, you had your opportunity to read this for free. Like, if even if you can't get to it immediately, even if you have to wait like 2 months to read it, it's probably in your mailbox if you signed up for free updates. EMU is heading down to Lafayette, but not before it beat Eastern Kentucky. A few final thoughts from that game. Chase Klein, the linebacker. Of course, everybody loves him. I've been trying to get you on the Chase Klein hype train for a very, very long time. If you've heard me. He's great. I think he's going to be fine. Probably a future MAC MVP, not Defensive Player of the Year, MVP. And I'm just saying that. It's whatever. I'm just an Eastern Michigan media guy. It's all good. He's a linebacker who's built like a bull rush end. He's a big kick-ass guy, which also means he's not excellent in open space against the pass. There was a play, maybe two, where like a player, like he was dropped back in zone coverage. Player caught a pass in front of him with like a couple yards of separation, and it didn't take much for him to just like dive at the guy's shoelaces, and he as in Chase Klein would usually have a size advantage because he's huge, but his best work is definitely when he's working downhill, when he's like closer to the line of scrimmage. I think that's where his best work is at, when he's on the blitz and we can actually use his strength and his physicality. His length and athleticism is helpful against the pass. Definitely gets some reaches there. If you saw in the first drive against EKU, I think it was the first drive, he did force an incompletion by just like his length and jumping up for a pass and batting it away. So I think there's a value there. I think there's more value in him just roughing up offensive linemen that have no business getting in his face. But also to his credit, it takes a lot to run a middle linebacker position for any defense. There's a lot of responsibilities that go with it other than like, fighting somebody out in public. There's a lot of assignments that need to be handled. There's a lot of realignments that need to be caught on the fly. There's a lot of, adjustments that have to be kept up with. There's a lot of smarts that come into that position. It's a lot like being the quarterback, but it's also mostly like being the center, if that makes any sense. It takes a lot of smarts for him to do that. He was, if it weren't for the coaching change at Michigan State, he'd probably still be there running the show there. You'd probably hear him on, on Fox, on FS1, on ESPN. But now you get to see him on ESPN Plus and ESPN3 for Eastern Michigan, which is great because he brings that could have been Big Ten potential to the MAC, and he's definitely proving it so far. He led the team in tackles already, so to call him an instant impact is, that's chump change, essentially. Melvin Swindle's fumble, you've heard me before say good things about him, even though he's only had like limited playing time. I think he's going to be really good. The fumble, I rewatched that part. He was lined up on, so the run went to the offense's right. Melvin Swindle was lined up from his advantage, from his vantage point to the center, to the left of the center. And so the guard on his left, the play side, he had to first make a push on Melvin Swindle and then work upfield and get to a linebacker. That was his assignment. And that right guard, he was a redshirt senior. He was formerly a Tennessee offensive lineman. He's new to the EKU program as a grad transfer. He was actually a starter in the 2019 season for the Vols too, so he's got some SEC chops there. He went to get Melvin Swindle, but Melvin Swindle got him first. Just pushed him out of the way, threw him and his lunch money on the ground. The offensive lineman just kind of like rolled around trying to pick up the pennies and just like looked really embarrassing. Didn't even get to the linebacker. You barely even knew he was trying to block Melvin in the first place. Melvin came through, was in good position. The center, meanwhile, had to like run around, and because Melvin was supposed to be tapped by two guys, the center was supposed to make the snap, boot out to the right, swing his hips in, and then just like, not swing his hips in, but like turn his ass to the play, get Melvin to like get him walled off from like making a tackle. But instead Melvin was in perfect position to make the tackle, not only make the tackle, wrap the running back from behind, get his hands in, and our old friend Chase Klein came through and made sure that when Melvin's arms went through the ball carrier, his arms, to force that fumble, Klein made sure that fumble actually happened. So good on both of them. On Sampson's touchdown run, I kind of realized it in real time, but I didn't want to say it at the time. And then after rewatching it, I know for sure that did not look like it was supposed to go all the way to the outside. Samson Evans, that's the one there where he's on the hashes, EKU side. The call is to go up the middle, but he bounces it, goes wide side to the corner of the end zone, has to barrel his way through. The O-line just got beat by a few EKU defensive linemen, so you don't want to see that, but you do want to see Sampson making great decision-making on that run. That could have easily been gobbled up for, a negative play. He could have got pushed back for more. So good to see Samson made a lot happen there. He made lemonade. And the last note I want to bring up is on defense. This is a good thing to look forward to. This is the play call essentially was a blitz, and it put Sparatio and TJPV, both guys with the most speed out of their positions, linebacker and safety. Put them both on the blitz on polar ends of the field, and that was really nasty. Forced an incompletion. The incompletion was just one of those swing passes to the running back, the most popular play in football in 2022, I guess. Forced an incompletion there. Could have been scary, with a better quarterback running back combination. Maybe that could have been a completion and a bad play, anyways, even with PV in the guy's face. But still, it forced an incompletion there, and it just, that looked really good. That was really fun to watch. All right, let's run through some power rankings really quickly. We're going to go 1 to 12, looking at the MAC. I thought about doing preseason rankings, but like I said, I don't think it would have been helpful. I would have put Akron way too high, and then I would have had to readjust for what I thought about Akron because of Joe Moorhead. Let's start at the top. Toledo, you're number 1. Hey, you beat Long Island 37-0. You're the only team in the MAC to shut out anybody. Nobody else allowed a goose egg on the scoreboard defensively. Put up 37 points. That's exactly what it should look like. A lot of people like you to win the West. Hey, I'm not saying this is my favorite. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Toledo played the best through week 1. No, it wasn't against great competition, but honestly, this week 1 was a stinker across the board for the MAC. Central Michigan, number 2, dark horse favorite apparently for the MAC West. Fought hard in the Oklahoma State game. Outscored the Cowboys 22-7 in the fourth quarter when it was already a blowout. Obviously, you score that much, but you still lose by double digits. It's not a great look, but it's still a good look to end up with 44 points on the road at a ranked Oklahoma State team that went to the Big 12 championship game just last year. So that's the best team that Central Michigan's going to play all year probably. So if you're feeling anything good about Central Michigan, you're probably feeling pretty great about them. Northern Illinois is 3. A lot of that is me kissing the ring here, but man, you did not look excellent against Eastern Illinois. 134-27, but it's just not what you wanted to see out of the defending MAC champs. Still, I have to put these 12 teams somewhere, and NIU, you're 3rd. In the second half, the possessions for NIU ended with touchdown, field goal, and missed field goal. Man, that's the second half, and you settled for field goals 3 times. That's just not good. Not good. Eastern Michigan, homer pick at number 4, but again, I got to put these teams somewhere. And I like what I see out of Eastern Michigan. I definitely like the defense a lot, and the offense is pretty good, pretty dang good. It's got the quarterback and receivers. I like that. It's just got to get a better run game going. Finished pretty well in the day, but the first half, 8 yards on 10 carries, no bueno. But yeah, probably a homer pick. I just don't really have a lot of fireworks around the MAC to say otherwise, because look at number 5 is Western. They didn't pee the bed when they went to Michigan State, lost 35-13. Michigan, that's a team they should lose to. That's a score you should lose by. Everybody wins. Way to go, State of Michigan. That's 5 Michigan West, MAC West teams in my top 5 already. Is that because I'm doing this wrong? I don't know. It's really hard to say. Number 6 is my first East team though. Ohio beat FAU. FAU doesn't have the most respect in the world. I wanted to give him more of a bump for N'Kosi Perry, who was a former 4-star, but maybe he's just not that excellent of a quarterback. But Curtis Rourke, I don't care. He still beat N'Kosi Perry in that duel, defended the home stadium well in the renamed Frank Solich Field at Peden Stadium. Good start to the year. I like what I saw out of Ohio. That's definitely, I haven't watched it yet, but 41-38, that's a better scoring win for Ohio than I ever expected to see them do in this game. I really thought Ohio was going to lose pretty bad. Miami lost pretty bad, 13-37. Another loss that was pretty bad. Their quarterback, Brett Gabbert, a guy that, hey, because you have him, we trust Miami to go to the MAC championship. And, not only that, like win the East. Miami was the heavy favorite to win the East, and the quarterback was a big reason for it. Who knows when Gabbert's going to be back? He was injured against Kentucky. They lost last week, 37-13. Respectable. It's a lot like Michigan State, Western Michigan in that regard. Just that's a score you should have lost by. That's fine. Yeah, Miami just generally does not impress until conference play. So until conference play, we'll see if Miami jumps back up. But who knows what Miami is going to look like with the new quarterback. I'm not going to try to speculate that, to be personally honest with you. I do trust Miami to do well this year, but after week 1, I have to put them 7. And at number 8 is our final West team, Ball State. They got raced by Tennessee. There's a lot that Ball State needs to develop offensively, especially with the new quarterback. Ball State's good, but Ball State's probably good. But I don't think you really learned a lot by getting your ass kicked 59-10 at Tennessee. Kent State 9. Yeah, they played a better game than Ball State in that regard. They lost to Washington 45-20, but I just don't feel confident in Kent State. I don't feel confident that its defense has really improved. Even in the run, Washington didn't run the ball a whole lot, but they had so much success with Mike Penix, not Michael, I guess, through the air. So they just, Washington's not the same playoff. Washington was a playoff team. Remember that. It's not the same caliber of program that regularly goes to the playoff. It's just not the same. If Kent State did this against, what's another team that made it to the playoff? Michigan State? Yeah, even then, no, I probably wouldn't get up too much for this. Buffalo is at 10. Just need more info still. At least I need more positive info. I guess we have a lot of info already. We do, but we don't. It's just kind of hard to really assess. Mo Lindquist gets an awkward 0/1 year right here. But they lost 31-10 to Maryland. Not good. Bowling Green, no, I don't care. I don't care if that they were ever leading UCLA. It just was not a good, it was not a promising game. We have a lot of knowledge about who leads UCLA and what they do against non-conference teams, and it's just not great. Bowling Green, hey, on the scoreboard they look just fine. If you were only watching this game on your gambling app, you'd say it was a great game, but no, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. No. They're my number 11 team because number 12, even though they won, Akron, you needed overtime to beat St. Francis, which is an FCS school. Look, man, I got to put you somewhere, and I can't really. If you beat St. Francis straight up with a better margin of victory than 7 points, 30-23, it's not a good final score for Akron over any FCS school, any MAC school over FCS school. That's not what you want to see, really. And St. Francis isn't exactly Eastern Kentucky, which is about to beat Bowling Green. So, Akron, you're 12. Louisiana. The Cajuns. The Cajuns, of course, they're not the same Cajuns of somewhat recent, I guess. Billy Napier was the head coach the last 4 years. In the last 3 years, they won at least 10 games. It's the best run Louisiana has ever had in its program history. Is that a flash in the pan? Is that lightning in a bottle? There's a lot of, there's a lot of uncertainty of how much can change from one coach to the next. Especially with what Billy Napier did, what Billy Napier brought to Louisiana, the way he did it the right way, and how they're replacing him. Their new coach is a Louisiana grad, So there's a lot of like know-how already. And like he wasn't like an outside, new hire. Like he was already an assistant coach with the program. So like he's kind of been around the business. He gets what he's doing. Young dude at 36 too. But he's already off to a 2-0 start as the team's head coach. Last year, after Napier won the Sun Belt, well, Napier and the team won the Sun Belt. Desermo? Michael Desermo? Is that how you say it? I'm not gonna put any more effort into that. I'm sorry. He led the team as the interim, beat Marshall 36-21 in the New Orleans Bowl, and then to start the year last week, beat FCS school Southeast Louisiana 24-7. I'm not going to do as much looking into how good Southeast Louisiana is as much as I did for EKU, but it's a good program. Definitely like well located for sure. Like you can just like get guys locally that are going to be pretty damn good. A lot easier than you can in Kentucky or if the FCS program were in Michigan. It's a good program that that kind of rose to the top. They're riding this wave out as best as they can. Who knows how long they can ride this wave out, but last week they had their hands full against a good FCS squad. Louisiana was up 17-0 at the half. In the second half, their drives ended by punt, missed field goal, punt, a turnover on downs, second time in the game. They had one earlier in the first half, punt, and then a touchdown late. The Cajuns aren't really getting it on offense. They played two quarterbacks, but they weren't doing like the split quarterback routine. This quarterback change happened in the fourth quarter. They went from number 18, Chandler Fields, to number 10, Ben Wooldridge. Fields, he just had a bad drive. I think he was on the drive that led to the turnover on downs, and then Ben Wooldridge came in and, they asked him to throw some, didn't really have a lot of success. This is a team that already has, its returning receivers from last year, all three of them, 29, Peter LeBlanc, 17, Deontay Fleming, number 6, Errol Rogers. But they also returned a tight end who got more involved last week than he ever has before, Johnny Lumpkin. Johnny Lumpkin, if you remember, what was his name? He played for the Lions for a little bit, but he was a tight end for Toledo. Was it like, no, that's not the name. I'm not going to say it. But he was a tight end for Toledo, and he ended up playing for the Lions, but he was a really huge guy. Great hands. Johnny Lumpkin. Would anybody like to guess how big this guy is? I'll just tell you. He's 270 pounds. He's 6'6", 270. So 268, 270. Dude, he's huge. 5 catches last week for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. Good luck. Eastern Michigan has to go from covering a big tight end last week, probably the best in the FCS, to another big tight end, someone that's going to stand out in the Sun Bowl for sure. Sun Belt. But the quarterback situation, they just haven't really. They're replacing a guy that was there for 4 years, started for 4 years, and so now with the new coach and new quarterback, it's not going great through week 1 for Louisiana. They're going to have a lot that they want to learn. They're probably going to roll out both these guys, especially if things don't go right for the one that they want to, keep in on its first, second, third, fourth, and fifth series. But Louisiana, they have a lot to figure out. It's not going to be the same like it was in EKU where they have their dual threat guy coming back. He's a senior. He's a leader. He can do not one thing, but 2 things, but 3 things. That guy could do a lot. Gotta contain, gotta get pressure on him, gotta do this, that, and the other defensively. Louisiana, it's gonna be a little bit more simple to game plan, and I think that they're gonna be able to get more pressure on the guys. So as long as they're not able to do the quick pass game behind the defenders that are on the blitz, and you get behind Eastern's defense, I think Louisiana might be in for an upset. I know there's some advanced statistics out there that EMU's this is going off by Stats of War. EMU's projected to score around 18 points, and Louisiana is in the neighborhood of 31, 32, something like that. Maybe 35. I could be getting it wrong right now. I'm not looking at it. But I think that's where we're going to have to see the game really play out, is if Eastern can get pressure and get into the quarterbacks' heads and force them to, if not lay on the ground, then force them to throw it to the cheerleaders instead, then I think that Eastern's going to be pretty well positioned to win. Now, where things are going to get tough is that Louisiana has a very good defense, and they play very, very well, and they have a good attitude, and it's just a very proud program that didn't really, like, it lost its quarterback and it lost its head coach. That's a lot. There's a lot. That's a lot. Defensively, they didn't really lose a ton after that. They did really well last week. Obviously, they held SCLA to just 7 points. They have guys that are returning. They have guys that they're missing, but man, they have some guys that are returning. They're good at safety. They're good at linebacker. They have a lot of good linebackers. Some of their defensive linemen are pretty good. Like number 4, Zion Hill. He's a good guy. I also featured in my preview Chris Moncrief, Andre Jones, AJ Riley. Yeah, there's a lot of good players at Louisiana that can make a lot of good plays. So Eastern's offense definitely has to stay efficient, but defense, man, you got to win it on defense this week. I really think Eastern has to win it on defense this week. So I'm going to end this by being corny as hell. I guess this is the way that we're just going to have to do this, because I don't like being corny about these things, but it's where we're at. It's where we're at. 3 keys. We're doing 3 keys for Eastern Michigan heading into week 2 against Louisiana. What are 3 things that I think Eastern should focus on? What are 3 things that I think Eastern has to do to win, or at least make it competitive and get it close? Number 1, I think Eastern's defense has to make an impact early with negative plays. Last week, there was only 1 negative play that Eastern made on defense. And that was the sack from Jordan Crawford, who lost some weight over the offseason. Made a good play there when they needed him to make a play, but that was the only one. Eastern got gassed 12 of 18 times on 3rd down. It's a horrible, horrible conversion. If Eastern would have won some more negative plays early on in like 1st down and 2nd down, not to say that EKU couldn't make long 3rd down conversions, because EKU very much did. Like, EKU did convert its share fair of 3rd and 10s. But keep them at 3rd and 10. Keep them at 3rd and 11. Keep them at 3rd and 15. Keep them back there. Keep them at 3rd and 8. Keep them back there. Eastern did not have that kind of luck last week. This is the kind of week where Eastern wants to make that kind of change against a much better opponent, against a Sun Belt champion. This is the kind of week where Eastern's defense really must, play like it just drank coffee. Play like it had coffee just spilled on them. Hot coffee. Not cold brew. Never had it. But, like I said, the change in the quarterback, I think that's a good dynamic for Eastern to capitalize on. If Eastern can get creative with its blitzes and kind of, I know Louisiana has a great O-line, but if they can make some confusion up front, if they can get guys to slip through and make plays, if they can get some of its depth pieces to come through again like Melvin Swindle did, if they can get Carter Evans to keep playing up to the level that he should be at, or that they hope that he can be at, and same with Peyton Price, and same with Dex Manier, and all these other guys, Jose Ramirez, Grant Truman, if they can make negative plays early on, then I think that Eastern's going to be in a good spot. Key number 2, just pick it up on the run game. Pick it up early. Not just early downs, but early in the game. Eastern needs the run support. It just, last week, it only had 8 yards in the first half. That's not good. That's just not good. It definitely got things going in the second half, but remember, Evans had to push his way and just make things happen a lot on his own. The O-line really, really needs to guide him, though. That the touchdown run, that a lot of that was him. He bounced way the heck outside, went to the wide side of the field, and had to, do a barrel roll through the corner of the end zone to make it happen. That's not ideal. That's a touchdown that proved why it only had so few rush yards in the first half. You got to pick it up. You got to pick it up early. That's why you had the two quick 3-and-outs in the first half. It's because they just didn't have that push up front. Yes, EKU has some guys that play defensive line. So does Louisiana. So does Toledo. So does Western. So does Central. So does Akron. Everybody has guys that can play some damn D-line. Got to play better. You got to get some push up front. And you got to make some holes for Samson on the early downs to help out the pass game. It shouldn't all have to come down to Powell floating it up and doing, deep throws to get the crowd on their feet to make a drive happen. Get the first down on the first couple of handoffs of the game. The earlier Eastern has some success on the ground on offense, the earlier Eastern can put games away. And this is definitely a game where, it'd be great to have the highlighting win where years later we're tweeting about how good of a kick Jose Gomez did in the walk-off win against Louisiana, just like we did for Chad Ryland against Illinois and Purdue. But I'd much rather see Eastern just dominate and just give Louisiana the people's elbow. Just dominate. I'd much rather win the physicality game as in this G5 matchup of North versus South. I'd much rather win that game. Key 3, this is to really get things going on offense in the pass game. My third key of the game: get the running backs involved in the pass game early too. Get these running backs involved early on. Samson Evans, I want you to have a very busy first half. I'm very sorry, my friend, but I want you involved in the pass game early. I want you all defenders to respect not just the receivers and the tight ends, but all 5 receivers on the field. Even Samson Evans, even if that means he has to take just a gain of 1 or 2 yards on some swing passes here and there. I think that'll be a good long-term strategy for the passing attack. I think the UL defenders need to respect. I think the safeties downfield need to have their eyes on the running back and just be thinking about running all the way over there to try to make a play on that guy too. I think that needs to be part of the strategy to, try to get guys open deep, because when guys weren't open deep against Eastern Kentucky, it was all down to Jared Getzinger, and it was all down to Andres Posky, and it was all down to Gunnar Oaks, who are fine receivers in the tight end room. But those aren't the ones that you want leading the room, or at least the passing attack. Jared Getzinger, caught the one pass and then he fumbled it, which led to an EKU touchdown, and really just kind of helped them get back into the game last week. You want the guys with the sure hands to get the ball. And running backs, they have some sure hands. Jalen Jackson was a running back transfer from Lamar. He is one of those guys where I think could get more involved in the pass game like that. Didn't really see that last week, so maybe this week will bring something new with him. But yeah, that's just what I think. I think the defense, if they do well in the first half, if the running backs just get really, really active in the rushing attack and in the passing game, early on, especially in the first half. The first half's going to be big. All right, win the first half is essentially what my three keys will boil down to. You got to win the first half because I don't know if EMU will be able to keep up with Louisiana if it turns into some sort of second half shootout or whatever. On the road like that, it's going to be very, very difficult. It's a new we've already seen this football season guys complain about how damn hot it is and how muggy it is in Florida. I could expect that same sort of advantage point for Louisiana this week, as it hosts a lot of guys from the Midwest. Some of these guys are from Georgia, but all these guys are living in Michigan now. So is that going to be a thing? Is that a key against Eastern Michigan? Just playing in the state of Louisiana is a negative for them? I don't know. We'll find out this Saturday. But NFL Network, 7 o'clock. Eastern looks for its first FBS win over Louisiana. I don't know. Should be good.